Hello, welcome to the Pedestal Wife Society. My name is Braille. I'm just going to wait a moment to let everyone come in from Instagram and YouTube. Now, Instagram, you already know what might happen. What may happen is the live stream may be cut short. I didn't do it. Instagram has me on a short leash. So if you don't want this live stream to end midstream, you're going to have to go into my stories, click on the link, and it will take you over to YouTube. I don't have any control over what YouTube, Instagram may do. But my YouTube, I never have any issues there. So if you don't want you've been warned basically. I've warned you what may happen. Instagram has me on a short leash. I'm already in contact with them now to find out why they keep cutting my live streams as short as 10 minutes before they cut it off. So if you get interested in the conversation, you want to continue it, then you want to take yourself to the stories and then you want to click on the link and it will carry you over to YouTube where we don't have any problems with the stream. Hey, Dale 340, I see you and hear you. Thank you, love. Thank you so much for letting me know that. If you haven't been following the series, I've been talking about how to, get with a man who's illogical about you, which just means to care about you. And how this video is going to be how to care about that particular man, because I've seen some things. I've seen women get these men who are illogical about them, who want to be with them, and the women make a mistake. So if you listen to this video, you won't make mistakes in dealing with a man who's illogical about you. When I say illogical about you, I mean he deeply cares for you. He's willing to give you any and everything that he can. But a lot of women will fumble this because either they're basing it off what happened with their ex, or they can literally be talked out of their position because of other people, or because they just don't feel like they are worthy of this type of man. So they tend to fumble the bag. Today, I'm going to teach you how not to fumble that bag, how to care for the illogical man that serves and worships you. Pretty much, we're going to talk about how to care for the man that provides for you. That's what we're going to focus in on today. First of all, hey, Joy. Hey, Daisy B. Hey, Milana. Hey. What does illogical man mean? Can you give examples? An illogical man is a man who cares for a woman. He pretty much, if you want to describe it as love, he's infatuated for a woman. He wants to do what he can to make sure that her life is better. He's adding value to her life. The illogical man, the reason why I termed it as the illogical man, because this is the man that feels strongly for you and he's willing to go against everybody else for you. Most women maybe have not encountered the type of man who's willing to go the distance for them, or he's willing to give everything he can for her. But you want to make sure that your man is illogical. And I've talked about that on YouTube. If you haven't seen the videos, go all the way back to the first video in the series. It talks a little bit more about that and what you need to have so that you can experience that with the man. Because I'm going to be honest with you all, my husband is super illogical about me, because I understand what it means to care for a logical man that serves and worships the family. There's a way that you're supposed to take care of that type of man. Most women sometimes will fumble it because of past mistakes, or maybe they don't feel that they're worthy of it. Maybe they're getting bad advice. There's so many things that can happen for you to fumble a man who's illogical about you. The first thing you need to do, if you don't want to fumble an illogical man, a man that feels strongly about you, a man who's willing to do everything to add value to your life, don't be a whiny broad. Like, don't be a whiny broad. And how do you stop yourself from being a whiny broad? Stop being insecure. Stop not having self-confidence and self-esteem. Stop needing constant reassurance. Stop talking badly about yourself. Stop treating yourself like dirt. Don't be a whiny broad. What happens when some women get across these type of men who are logical about them, even though everybody else has told you that maybe you're not worthy, or maybe you're not deserving, or maybe every relationship that you've had prior have taught you that men don't care. But then you come across this man, he's illogical about you. He feels like the sun sets on you. You're everything to this guy, but you become a whiny broad. You start being super insecure. You're talking about his location. You're calling him every few hours. You're texting him, trying to figure out where he's at. You are a whiny broad. Don't be the whiny broad. When you're the whiny broad, you repel, you kill the polarity, because it seems as though you don't trust him. And if you don't trust him, then maybe you shouldn't be with him. It's just that simple and just that easy. Don't be the whiny broad. A man who is providing for you and he's illogical about you, he's emotional about you, he feels deeply for you, you don't comfort him in the way that you comfort a woman. A lot of women make this mistake, and when it comes to comforting a man, you think it's approach it by asking him, is he okay? How are you feeling? Do you want to talk? All those things do is just repel. All those things do is kill the polarity. All those things do is let him recognize that you don't really know how to comfort a man. So I'm going to give you some ways to comfort a man. And this is comforting a masculine provider. And this is caring for the illogical man in your life. So the ways that you're going to be able to comfort him is you're going to make sure that that you understand your feminine energy and feminine presence. See, feminine presence is sometimes just enough. Some women don't understand that. Sometimes all they need is quiet. All they need is for you not to talk and try to fill the space. All they need for you is to do your thing and he does his. That is so simple, but so hard for some women because they take it as if he's not talking, if he's not communicating, if he's not constantly filling in that space and talking all the time, that he is mad at her, when sometimes he just had a bad day. Sometimes he's not feeling well. Sometimes he doesn't want to lay that burden at your feet. But since you're so used to women, and that's how women do things, we like to talk, we like to communicate, we like to fill in the space. We don't have to concern ourselves about the feminine presence. We don't have to concern ourselves about being quiet around our best friends. Our best friend probably is going to be like, girl, let's talk about it. And since communication is a way that the feminine, she's somewhat heals, she gets it off her chest, she feels a lot better. You think it's going to work for men. Men don't work that way. Men want to be comforted in a different way. And I'm going to give you some more examples other than just being quiet. Because sometimes it's going to be, maybe it's time just to care by actually giving him something that he needs in that moment. Maybe in that moment, all he needs is quiet and he just needs peace. And maybe he just wants his favorite meal from his favorite restaurant. Or maybe he just wants you to get pulled and pour him a glass of wine uh, from his favorite wine. Maybe he just wants you just to be there and give some comfort by your presence alone. And we tend to not want to do that because we're used to being around a lot of other women. And most women, when we want comfort, we want to talk about it. And men, they will talk about it after they have decompressed, after they have processed it, after they have found a solution. Then they want to have a conversation. Then they will let you in. But sometimes you got to learn when feminine presence is enough. Sometimes feminine presence is all you require. Sometimes it's just giving him his favorite drink, or maybe it's bringing to his favorite restaurant and getting his favorite meal, or maybe it's just creating an atmosphere, an environment where there's peace, and that's all you have to do. Sometimes we're doing too much when it comes to comfort. Understanding. He wants to be understood. Like when women are offering each other comfort, we want to talk it out. And for us, that gives us a sense of healing to get it off our chest. We've told someone else, we feel so much better about it. But that's not the way that men operate. When he is coming in and maybe he has had a bad day, or maybe it didn't go well, or maybe he didn't get the promotion, a lot of times all he needs is understanding and maybe some encouragement, maybe some, hey, guess what? You know what? You're gonna do better. Like it's gonna work out. They don't know what they're missing out on. You're so much better than that. You should be running that place. Sometimes that's all they need, and sometimes we miss the boat because we're trying to operate from comfort from the same place as women do. We want to do what we do with our girlfriends, and unfortunately, men and women are not the same. They have different hormones. Their brains are different. Their bodies are different, and we need to learn to respect that. When we respect that, we have so much more success and care for the men that feel illogical about us. When they're illogical about us and they want to serve and worship, they want to make sure that the family is good. They want to make sure they carry the responsibility and burdens of life so that we don't have to. Then you need to know how to care for your illogical man. And here's a question I want to give you all. This is one thing I want to give you all because I think it's so important that you don't just take my advice for how men have I found in the past that men desire to be comforted. I want you to do this at an individual level. I want you to figure out, and you're going to utilize this question. What do you appreciate in women when you are upset? ask a man that so you can kind of gauge what comfort looks like for him. He may say, all I need is that woman just to encourage me. All I need is that woman just to inspire me. All I need is that woman's presence. A lot of times men are not looking for you to solve their problem. They can solve it. They actually want your understanding and trust that they are able to solve it. And they don't want you to go and run over him to solve his problems when he's not looking for you to do that. He's just looking for your feminine presence. He's just looking for some comfort for you. But if you go into solution mode, because that's what we do as women, and that's also what has been trained for us to do as women. We go in, we try to solve the problem. We try to give people solutions when men don't need you to solve their problems. They just want your understanding. They just want your trust. They just want to know that you believe that they can solve their own problems, that you trust that they have it handled, that you trust that they can get it done. They don't need you for the things that we think they need us for. And so that can be a little bit confusing because of that. Creating harmony and attunement. Attunement is so important. How do I describe? Okay, I know the perfect way to describe attunement. Attunement is when two people become one. Two people become one. This is always the desired state of relation. This is always the spiritual desire of it. See, I'm already paused for Instagram. Instagram is going to cut off the live stream. So if you're watching me on Instagram, you're going to come over to YouTube. Unfortunately, I don't have a solution for that. I don't know why that is happening. But attunement is something that we're going to dig into a lot more coming up in a couple of more live streams, because that is highly important for when it comes to two people becoming one. This is where you're going to get to the level where you're not going to have so many disagreements. You're not going to have so many problems that you per se. You're going to actually come together as more of a complement and more togetherness and more romance and more attraction. So this is the desired level of commitment that most relationships try to obtain, is attunement. And we're going to discuss more on how to get that, but that is what you want to aim for. If you're caring for the illogical man that serves and worships, and the man who has the responsibility and takes on the burden of life for you, then you want to make sure you aim for attunement. So you want to make sure that you give him support. See, the thing is, giving him support means trusting him. It means not trying to control him, not trying to always trying to figure out where his location is, or always trying to figure out where he is at all times. When you don't, or when you try to control a man, it lets him know that you don't trust him. And I know you might say, well, Braille, I don't trust him. Then why in the frying fruitcake are you with him? Why are you with this man if you don't trust him? You should not be with any man that you cannot even consider trusting because of his behavior, because of his actions, because of the things he's doing. Then you should not be giving your trust. Because when you give your trust, there's something that you're giving called an energetic blessing. You're giving them an energetic blessing when you do things, and it's a level of blessing that most men are looking from women. Men look to women for the blessings. They look for women for the approval. They gauge the women that they have for their own success. And if you are giving him signals that he is successful, but things are not lining up with your actions, then it's going to be problematic later on. So focus in on what you do want and not what you don't want. I can tell you that this is a big problem for women, because when I am doing my one-on-ones and doing my client intake, and the first very meeting, one of the things I ask them is what they're looking for in a guy. And I've noticed that they'll start with everything they don't want. Oh, I don't want a man who does drugs. I don't want a man who's not working. I don't want a man who doesn't want to protect. I don't want a man who doesn't provide. And then I have to guide them back to, what do you want from him? That is what we want to write on this love list that you have. We want to focus in on things that you do want from a man and not from the things you don't want. See, only whiny broads focus in on things that they don't want. They focus in on things that don't matter, because you already know you're not going to acquest or want to be with a man who is on drugs, or a man who isn't going to protect, or a man who isn't going to provide. So why would you focus in on things you don't want when these are the things that you would run away from screaming if a man even showed you he was these things? But men are always looking for blessings. Why do you think that majority of men, they're, even if they have success, even if they have money, even if they have resources, they're still looking at the women to gauge their success. They're still looking at the women to see if they are successful enough. They're looking at the type and quality of women that they have and the type and quality of women that they can pull. Why do y'all think there's so many platforms talking badly against women or talking about women? Because if women did not gauge, if they weren't looking at women for their blessings and gauging their success by women, they wouldn't be concerned about women. They wouldn't focus in on talking about women all the time. They would be focusing on how to become better for women. It's all about women and for men. But when a man is illogical about you, he cares about you. One of the things you need to know is be very concerned about giving your blessing for things that are a mess. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce this thing that's so important. You still, even all the advice that I give you, you do not want to become a bobblehead. And what do I think is a bobblehead? Do you remember the little things that you would have in your car and they would have a big head and they would just constantly do like this right here? You do not want to become a bobblehead. Becoming and being in that feminine presence and that feminine essence is not about being this. It's not about saying yes when you mean no. It's not about constantly being in agreement with men, because you need to know how to respectfully disagree. Being able to respectfully disagree with men value respect. Respect is one of the things they will have. They would prefer to have respect than love. So you need to learn how to respectfully disagree. And you do not want to approve the things or give your energetic blessing to a man when you can't approve him, because he will have false approval. This means he will go out into the world feeling like that he has been approved by a woman and has been given her blessing when he hasn't. And I hate it when women give that advice of constantly agreeing and constantly telling a man yes, or constantly just going along with whatever a man wants. When it's that is somewhat the spice of life. When a woman has a personality, when she has her own values, when she has integrity, when she has a moral compass, when she has a way that she operates. So that is the spice of life. So you should not be going and being in agreement with things that you disagree with. But you need to respectfully disagree, because you want to make sure that you're giving your energetic blessing to the men who are going to actually absolutely show up and continue to give you that type of energy and behavior and action that you desire. So think about it like this. If I constantly tell a person that you're doing a good job, even if they're not, they're going to continue to do the job that they have been doing because I keep telling them they're doing a good job. But if I respectfully disagree, and if it looks like me constantly saying, well, you know what, I can agree with your point there. That right there, you have a point on. However, I feel like maybe this could be done to improve that. Or I feel that maybe we could meet here, or maybe we can agree here. Like respectfully disagreeing is making sure that you show up in the relationship, because you have to show up in the relationship. Don't listen to these women who want to create bobbleheads. Like you're not a bobblehead. You're not a whiny broad. You're not going to constantly be agreeing constantly when you know that men are looking for your energetic blessing. Every time you give out your energetic blessing to a man, this gives men a certain approval where he goes out here and makes either he makes himself better, he improves his life, he makes better decisions and choices. So you have to be very careful about just agreeing. Like I always try to focus in on helping you all learn. We're going to learn more about attunement, but you do attunement and harmony in your relationship. This is going to help. This is going to give the illogical man that's illogical about you. He cares about you. He's willing to do what he can to make sure that he adds value to your life. He makes sure that he is giving you a life that's worthy of the type of woman you are, but you have to give some type of care. Care is required. Don't do what I've seen over the years. I've seen women kind of fumble the illogical man, either because of the fact that she doesn't feel like she's worthy. So she tries to take control over him. She tries to tell him what to do. She tries to solve all his problems. And then he starts to not feel as strongly about her. The attraction typically tends to reduce, or she cares so much about what other people have to say about her. And see, this is something I'm going to prepare you really early on. If you have an illogical man and he cares about you, he's all about you, he's infatuated about you, there is going to be people in his family who may try to dissuade him of caring. They may call you a gold digger. They may call you a user. They may call you names. The thing is, women tend to fumble this because of the fact that they get offended, they get triggered by what other people are saying. Your job is to kind of keep focused in on him and keeping him illogical about you, your job is not to focus in on what other people are saying about you, because there's jealous people out here. They're going to be jealous because this man is illogical about you. They may desire it for themselves and they don't know how to obtain it, but you have. And they maybe you're also pulling, maybe he's pulling his provisions from other people for you. And they may get upset about that. That's the reason why you need to focus on caring for the illogical man and not caring about what other people have to say, because they're going to have something to say. I'm going to go ahead and prepare you to expect other people to have something to say. It may be his mama, it may be his cousin, it may be a sibling. Your job is to care about him and not so much focus in on what they have to say. Because don't fumble it because you want to go and address the mom, or you want to go and confront the sister. Don't fumble this because of your feelings and how other people are caring about your relationship. Because maybe you aren't maybe for them, looking outside of it, maybe you don't seem like the best choice for him. Maybe you don't seem like you're compatible to him. But it's not about what they feel or what they see. It's about what he feels and what he sees. How you make him feel is going to be so important. So you don't want to fumble trying to go and address or confront the people, the naysayers, or what they have to say. Focus in on him. Focus in on caring for the illogical man. Do not fumble this. I've seen women fumble this over and over and over. They'll have the man. He'll be eating out the palm of her hand. He'll be serving her. He'll be taking care of her children. And the children aren't even his, but he's taking care of them. He's providing for them. He's paying the bills for them. She has emotional support. He's doing everything he can to show up for her. But then she fumbles him because she tries to go and get chunk change. She tries to get that little bit. Or she gets scared because maybe he made a move that looked like the ex. Because men are not good. They're going to make mistakes. You might always expect some stupidity that comes with this. You might always expect for him to put his foot in his mouth. I've already talked to you all about in the video provider for 2024 that you can expect men to say some dumb-ish. Just expect it. If you expect it and it's not something immoral, it's not something disrespectful, then you should be able to roll with it. You should be okay, because you don't want to fumble a illogical man. The illogical man is where you want to be, because the illogical man is a man that feels strongly about you. And majority of women will only run into illogical man at least 3 or 4 times out your life. Every man is not going to be illogical about you. Every man is not going to see you the same way. And I'm not trying to say this to say this in a scarcity way. I'm just telling you, if you've already ran into one, you fumbled him, you'll run into another one. There is still hope. And if you've never ran into one, at least you got 3 or 4 others to run into. This is just based off the numbers. You're going to run into a man that's going to be illogical about you. He's going to feel deeply about you. He's going to lock you in. Your job is learning how to care for this man. Caring for this man is to make sure that you are not just being a bobblehead. You're just not agreeing to everything that he says, or you're not just being disagreeable to be disagreeable. I don't agree with that type of advice either. I feel like that's the oxymoron. I think that's dumb. Don't do it, because just disagreeing to disagree makes no sense. It makes no logical sense. It's a waste of time. It's best to use discernment and, eat the meat, spit out the bones. I think you have to make sure that you have some type of discernment about yourself, so that if there's something that you need to disagree of or that you disapprove of, then you can step up to the plate then. And remember, as long as you respectfully disagree, you respectfully disapprove, a man can accept it. He's not these type of men, the men that are illogical and they have deep feelings for you, they're going to care about your disapproval. Men care anyway, because if men didn't care, they wouldn't spend so much time trying to figure out how to change women, how to chase women, how to get women, how to attract women, how to do what they can to get the woman that they want. They wouldn't care so much. They wouldn't put so much energy and time into it. They're still looking for your energetic blessing. So you don't want to be giving him that blessing, that approval, if he's doing things that is giving disapproval, if he's doing things that are showing that he is not of service to you, but he's of service to himself. A man that's illogical about you, he's going to be of service to you and your family and not to service to himself. That's the thing about illogical man. Illogical man will also give you influence. And so that's the reason why it's so important for you to understand how to care for him. Like some women, this video probably won't even be popular, and it's okay. It's okay, because I know that every woman is not going to care about having a logical man. Some women are going to think it's unfair for the man to feel deeply for me or to love me more. Some women are going to reject that because of the fact they don't feel like they're worthy of it. But I know that women who get it will get it. They'll understand that these type of men require a certain type of care, because they are providing for you, they are of service to you, they are making sure that they take the burden of life for you so that you can have the life that you desire. So you want to make sure that you comfort him in a way that he wants to be comforted. That's the reason why I told you to keep asking that question. What do you appreciate in a woman when you are upset? Either he's going to tell you that he appreciates when a woman is quiet and that he has time to work it out, or he appreciates the one who inspires him and encourages him when he's having a bad day, or he appreciates a woman who goes and gets his favorite snack or favorite drink when he's feeling down. You need to figure out on an individual level, how do I care for my illogical man? How do I keep him there? Because guess what? The downside of this is that there's going to be other people who are going to be jealous of that. And that could be one of his family members. It could be a family member of yours that could be super jealous because of the fact you have an illogical man. And I'm not saying being focusing on that, don't focusing on that. That's whiny, broad stuff. We don't focusing on those things. But we are aware that those things can happen, because if we don't care for the illogical man, he will remove his influence from us. And so you do not want the illogical man to take the influence that he gave to you away and give it to somebody else. Because when he gives that influence to someone else, it could be possibly someone who doesn't like you. That could be his mama that don't like you. That could be his cousin that don't like you. It could be another woman that is trying to take your place. So you don't want to fumble a illogical man that cares for you. You don't want to dismiss that type of man. You want to give him the care that is going to keep him illogical and keep him focusing on you and keep him carrying the responsibility and burden of life for you so that you can have a good life. Like, that is what men are for. Yes, some women are going to push back against this conversation because they truly believe and they feel like that men, they don't understand what men are for. That's just the basis of what's happening. They don't understand what men are for. No one taught them what men are for. So they're operating from a misinformation. Don't destroy your man ability to be able to hang around like-minded men. Trust me, if there's a guy that your man hangs around and he's an illogical man, he cares deeply for you, he will willing to do anything he can to make your life easier and add value to your life, he will drop those men that are not on board. He will drop family members that are not on board. When a man is illogical, a man would turn away from his family, a man would turn away from his friends, a man would turn away from his job, a man would get another career. A man that isn't ready will get ready. Where a man is illogical and cares deeply for a woman, he will do all those things and more above. So do not try to destroy his relationship with his mom or his relationship with his friends. A man that's illogical about you will put rules on himself. So you don't have to. You don't have to try to create these rules to keep control of him, because he will keep control over him. He cares so deeply about you that he will let go of the friend that doesn't like you. He'll let go of spending so much time with his mom if she despises you. He will let go of his cousins and anybody else that comes against this relationship. Think about all the relationships that you've seen, or maybe even in your own family. Maybe you have a brother who has done that. He's cut you off because his wife don't like you. Or you have a cousin who's done that. He has cut you off because his wife doesn't care for you. Men do this all the time. They're always looking for a blessing from a woman. And when they find that woman that they're illogical about, they feel deeply for, they will cut people off for them. Your job is to focus in on him and care for him. And the caring for him is being there to inspire him with your feminine presence, being able to comfort him in the way that he desires, being able to disrespectfully disagree instead of arguing and blaming and cursing him out. If you don't know how to communicate with men, go to the bold and beautiful video I did about feminine communication. It works across the board. It's not just with men, it works with people overall. People want to be spoken to in a particular manner. So you want to learn how to communicate well. So let me pause here and get into what people are saying, and let me, speak to my pedestal wives and inner circle members. Hepburn said, "Men and women are different." You're so right. They are. Marcel says, "Hello, hey, babe. I'm telling you, men and women are different. Like the biggest lie, the greatest lie in this world is telling women that men are like them. So now we have women who think that men are nothing but women with beards. And I'm telling you, they aren't. They don't even operate in the same way. Men are single focused. They focus on one thing at a time. Women are multifaceted, multi-focused, and we can solve a problem and be working on something at the same time. That's the way our brains work. Our brains are firing on all cylinders from left to right. So they don't require the same things that we do. So we tend to try to treat them like our best girlfriend. And when you do that, you're going to kill your polarity. You're going to kill the illogical man. You're going to kill that energy with him that feels strongly about him. Like he feels strongly about you. You're going to kill it. You're going to fumble it. I've seen it happen over and over and over. And see, the thing is with women, when you try to give me advice, I don't give unsolicited advice. I don't go run up to women and say, you know what you're doing? You're killing the polarity. You're killing the illogical part of him that feels strongly about you. Because what happens, at one point, he looked at you as though you were different from other women. Then you started being like whining broads. You started being like other women. You started to try to be more controlling. You started to make him the center of your world. You started to drop your passions and focus in on nothing but him. You did all these things and you became a whining broad. So you became like other women. And then he stopped being illogical about you. Why would I be illogical about a copy? Why would I be illogical about the copy? I wouldn't be illogical about people emulating each other. I'm going to be more illogical about something more unique. Hi, do men need to be illogical in order to provide? No, they don't have to be illogical to provide. A man who has a value system for providing will provide. The illogical part is for you to get influence. That's the illogical part. The illogical part is for him to love you more, which is required. And it's not just required because I'm saying so, it's also required because there's spiritual reasons for it. A man has to feel somewhat responsible for a woman and feel the burden of love. And love is a burden to a man. So yes, he will provide for you. But guess what? All only thing needs to happen is for a woman to make him feel deeper, for a woman to make him feel deeply, because you focus on maybe getting or receiving from him. And that's another thing that's missing from relationships for a lot of women. They're getting something from a man. He's is providing for them. He's putting a roof on over their head. He's protecting them. He's checking off all the boxes, but he's not as romantic. He's very nonchalant. He can either be there or not. Like there's a different energy that you get when a man is illogical about you and cares deeply for you and loves you more versus a man who's just doing his duty of providing for you. Because there's a lot of men out here who have a value system of providing for a woman, but when a man is illogical about her, he gives her willingly influence. And that's something you cannot, I don't care. There's no way to manipulate influence from a man. I've said this over and over and over. But a man who is illogical and feels deeply about you, he gives you influence willingly. So this means that when he has like opinions that are old fashioned or opinions that you just can't get with, if a man is illogical about you, you can update those just by being. A woman who's just been provided for, she can't do that. Like that's out of her realm. He's going to do that possibly for the woman who makes him feel though, but not for her, for that woman that he just is with her because he had to, or he feels some type of that's part of his value system. Because there are men out there, their value system is I'm just going to provide for a woman that I'm with. We are excuse me, we are only a month in. He is illogical about me. Here comes his female friend telling him that I look expensive, asking him if he can handle a woman like that. Yes. See, the thing is, you're gonna run into that. And see, at least I told you first, so you're not like, it's not probably in the beginning. I was like, what she like, hold up, what happened to the girl's girl? Y'all, I've said this before. Most women are not girls. Most women are girls only when they're around like-minded individuals. Most women, if they don't have the things they want, they're not in the space yet to be a girl's girl. That's the reason why majority of women are not girl's girl. So of course she's seeing that treatment that he's giving to you and she's envious of it. Instead of her saying, you go girl, and encouraging him to continue to treat you as such, what does she do? She's trying to plant a seed. Can you handle that type of woman? Like, does that woman truly want you? And it's going to happen. That's the reason why you have to really put into the care. Like, this video is not going to be a video people are going to look at. People are going to look at the video about the things that men do for women, but they're not going to look at the care part. This is the part that's missing. Anytime I've seen a woman fumble this type of man, it's because they did not care. They didn't put the care part into action. They did not comfort him in the way that he needs to be comforted. They did not give feminine presence. They did not give any type of trust. They didn't disrespect. They didn't respectfully disagree. They just disagreed all the time. Like, and when women continue to do that, it kicks them out of the space of having deep feelings for a woman. And that's highly important. If you want influence, if you don't want to constantly be trying to manipulate your man to upgrade him or to give him suggestions or opinions, then you want him to willingly give you influence. And the only way for him to get that is if he's illogical about you. That's the reason why so many women are trying to figure out, how do I upgrade my man or inspire him to go to that next level? But when a man is illogical about you, he's always trying to figure out how did he do that? He's always taking his cues from you to see if he's doing a good job, if you're giving him his blessing. Oh, the chat is open. I'm answering questions at this time. But the care part is important. I have seen women who got the guy to be illogical and make him feel deeply for her, but then she fumbled it. Like, she fumbled it. He was willing to take on all of the responsibility of caring for her and her children, or he was willing to go out here and put his finances, his credit score, his 401k on the line. And she fumbled it based off what the family was saying. Or she fumbled it because she couldn't believe he was real. She fumbled it because she didn't have the self-esteem to carry it. She fumbled it because she just started being a whiny broad. Like, I've seen all these scenarios and none of them work out. They all end up fumbling the man who's illogical about them. True, if a man is illogical about you, he's like a bunch of puppies covered in a thin sheet, tries to cover it but can't. And all you do is just exist and he gets excited over you. I think there's a term for that, Lillian, and it's called, what is it? It's like on TikTok, I saw it kind of, my daughter left that door open again. There is a term for this, golden retriever. It's golden retriever energy. I just don't like that term, so I'm not using it, because to me, women use that and it's disrespectful. Remember, respect is required for these type of men. They care about respect. They care about getting that appreciation from you. They care about you caring about them, and you appreciate the things that they do for them, for them and for you in the first place. So they care about these things. So I don't like that term because I feel like it's somewhat disrespectful, but it is called that type of energy, and it's all over social media. What's the biggest thing you've influenced your husband over the years? My husband, he grew up in where like the type of places that I live in now is not somewhere that my husband is interested in. He grew up in a family where they're very minimalist, which means that they don't like to they don't care about having like the bigger houses or the nice yards or the community, as long as it's not super expensive. So I've influenced my husband to live in these communities, to be near people who are doing well, because he's the type of guy, he would just save his coins and live in a bad neighborhood because it was just him. Men don't care about that stuff as much as you think, but when they get a woman and she influences him, he wants better. He wants to improve his where he lives at. He wants to improve what he drives. He also improves his thinking and the type of things he's thinking about. So that's the biggest thing I can think of. I've influenced him a lot. Like, our entire lifestyle is upgraded and up leveled based off of the things that I desire for my family. It's up leveled through that. Can you give examples on how you respectfully disagree? Well, I gave examples in that last video, but we'll go through one right quick, like here. When you respectfully disagree, you're going to I want you to pull something that he has brought up in conversation. I think the last example I gave was, I talked about the fact that a man said something really dumb to me or around me, and he was talking about the fact that women should cook or something like that. Women should cook. They should be in the kitchen. And I was like, well, I can agree that women are great cooks, but however, the best chefs in the world are male, and it's so sexy when men cook. Instead of getting triggered and upset about that, we had a whole conversation, and it went from, I think he was thinking it was going to trigger me and I was going to go ballistic on him and I was going to go all you rah, rah, rah on him. And instead I turned it and flipped it to the point he's like, I agree. You're right. The best chefs in the world are men. So definitely maybe men should cook more. And before we left that conversation, he's like, you had me thinking about this. But you want to pull something from what he said and you want to regurgitate it. And then you want to add in to, like, instead of saying what you don't agree with, line it up as how to correct that disagreement. What I could have done, if I would have went rah-rah on him, I could have been like, you should be telling women that they're the best cooks. That's not PC. That's not politically correct. That's not the right thing to say. I could have did that. Some women think that's the best way to disagree with a man. Instead, you want to respectfully disagree by turning it around so that he can see, well, maybe he is not thinking properly. Maybe that's not the best way to look at things. But I did a whole video on this. You can go and look at the communication. I think the last video I did, I talked about how to respectfully disagree and disapprove, because that's going to be important. We're not bobbleheads over here. I'm not going to teach women to sit over across from a man and disagree with everything he says. Yeah, I remember that now. Yes, absolutely. So it's the same formula every single time. Instead of bringing out what you don't like about what he just said, turn it in a way where it's going to bring in a point or make your point. But you need to learn how to respectfully disagree with people, respectfully disapprove of the things he's seeing or doing. Because respect is highly important to a man who is illogical about you. You want to show him care. If a man is, and this is only for the men that are providing for you, I'm not telling you to do this for any random man, men that you don't trust, men that won't protect, men that won't provide, men that are only serving themselves. If a man is serving you, and taking on the burden of life for you, then you should make sure that you show proper care. You want to also make sure that you show appreciation. Like, you want to take time to show appreciation. Don't just continue to receive from him and not show appreciation. Maybe he bought you a new bag last week. You need to talk about, oh my gosh, it makes me feel so good. And I feel so special because I love the bag you bought me. Like, you have wonderful taste. You want to show appreciation. Men have to get that blessing. They have to get that energetic blessing from you. They have to know that they're doing the right things to get your blessing, to get your approval. They have to know they're going in the right direction. That's also another way to fumble a man that's illogical about you. If you have RBF and you're so cold that you don't let him know that he's doing the right things. He's doing the right things to earn you. He's doing the right things to earn the place in your life. He's doing the right things that you approve over. So you want to make sure that you don't forget that. Like, you don't get caught up in all of this on social media. Some of the things on social media, you have to realize, is not about getting you what you want. It's more about going viral and making money. Social media is money. So people will say anything. They don't care if it works for you or not. They don't care if you end up getting the desires of your heart or getting the ring that you want or getting the type of men that you want to date. They don't care about that. A lot of people say some wild things on social media just to get those views, just to make that money. So you have to be very careful about mistreatment of a man who's illogical about you, because if you do that, you're allowing the people who are against you or people who do not like you to have influence over him. Because eventually he's going to start to come down from that place. He's going to start to come down from that, how you make him feel, and start to pay attention to the treatment that you give him, how you are very disagreeable, how you cuss him out, how you mistreat him, how you call him names, how you're never satisfied, how you're always doing things to show that you do not like him. These things will help. It will help him come down from that feeling of you. And then the things that other people are saying about you will start to be true to him. And so this is the reason why you don't want to fumble it by not giving him care. I don't care what people are seeing on social media or telling you that men don't need care. They do. They desire care. They're looking for your energetic blessing. They're looking for your approval. If they're not receiving that, they feel like they're not doing the things that's going to get you, that's going to earn you. And what will happen, they will start to listen to other people. And that's the worst thing that can happen for you, especially if a man's illogical about you, he cares deeply for you. The worst thing that can happen is if he starts to listen to other people, and it's bad advice, or especially turns to social media for advice, because there's not too many spaces on social media where it's good advice for men. There's spaces for women on social media, because this is if you actually would look at the platform, these platforms are really geared towards women and not men anyway, because they know women are going to spend time listening and having a conversation and learning these things. So you don't want to fumble a man who cares about you. The good news, though, if you've already fumbled them, you got 2 or 3 more. Like, it's just based off the numbers. You probably got a total of 4 men that you can make feel deeply and illogical, and he can become an illogical man. About 4 out of your lifetime. You may be, if you are really into your feminine energy, you may get more. All right. Are there any more questions? But the care is important. Don't fumble a man who feels deeply about you. Don't fumble a man who's willing to lay down his life for you. Because that's what a logical man is. He willing to lay down his life for you. He's not even going to listen to other people concerning you. Like, he is not going to care what other people have to say. They could be calling you all kinds of names. They could be calling you a gold digger, saying that you're using him. And a man who's illogical and feels deeply for you, he's not going to concern himself about it. He's literally just going to focus in on you. But if you don't give him the proper care that's deserving for this type of man, you will lose him and you will fumble him. Joyce said, I had one. Like, how many women have had an illogical man? Like, no matter what anybody said about you, he still was focusing on you. Like, he was still focusing on your approval and your approval only. He was still focusing on doing the best he can for you, doing what he can for you, trying to provide for you, trying to protect you, trying to give everything he can for you. He will literally, this man will literally lay down and die for you. So you want to make sure you care, like you show the proper care for them, that you show that appreciation. You take the time to give some appreciation. You take the time to figure out what is going to comfort him, because most time men who are illogical, they just want your feminine presence. Don't treat your man like a woman. Don't treat him like your best girlfriend. He is not your best girlfriend. His mind doesn't think like that. His hormones aren't like that. Don't treat him like your best girlfriend. Like, that's another way to phone him. Don't become a whining broad. Don't constantly be trying to figure out his location or where he's at or trying to control him. The more you try to control this type of man, the more you will push him away. What you want is for him to give you willingly influence. You want him to give influence to you to the point where he will put rules on himself. Women don't understand that when a man is illogical about you, he will make rules for himself. He'll say, hey, I have to be home at 5. Or, hey, I can't go get this without talking to my wife. Or, hey, I don't want to go here without seeing if she wants to ride with me. He will put rules on himself that you don't have to. He will willingly give his location to you. You don't have to. He will willingly make rules so that he can keep the relationship safe and healthy and happy. You don't have to. Like, if you have to do all that, he isn't your guy. He isn't illogical about you. A man is illogical about you. He is willing to take the burden of life for you. And he's willing to serve his family. He's willing to serve you. He's willing to make sure that you are living well, and he adds value to your life. When one of the things I said probably like 2 years ago, and I got so much backlash for it. I said this, and I'm gonna say it again because it still holds true. I don't put rules on my husband. I don't tell him what time to come home. I don't tell him how he's supposed to respond to me. I don't put any rules on my husband. He puts those rules on himself. I don't have to do that. When a man is illogical and feels deeply for you, you don't have to do any of those things. I don't have to worry about his location because he willingly shares it with me. I don't ask him for his location. I don't constantly try to text or call him and figure out what he's doing all day. He does that. He does that for me. This is gold. They say men are simple. How can we make our care more individualized? Or is that care the same across the board? It is not across the board. You need to learn your man at an individual level. You need to ask him, what does he appreciate in a woman? Like ask him, what does he appreciate in a woman? Like asking, like, what do you appreciate in a woman when you're upset? A man will tell you what he's looking for when he's upset. Just ask the question and get to know it on an individual level, because it's not all the same across the board. I can give you what works for my man. I can tell you what I've seen work for men because I have a family full of men. But you should try to figure out on at an individual level what is going to work for him. What is he going to need to be comforted? What he going to need to be cared for? Ask those questions, and trust me, men are willing to tell you. They're simple though. They're simple. There's nothing hard that men is going to give you. And what is a hard wig, a soft life? You mentioned this last week. It's a TikTok trend that women were seeing. If I put a hard wig on, I'm going to be getting a soft life. No, you won't. Most women will not. Some women are wearing a hard wig right now, and they will not get a soft life because they don't know how to care for they don't know how to care for a man anyway. When you don't know how to care for a man, you tend to make a lot of mistakes. You either become a whiny broad or a bobblehead. There's no in between. So that is what that's talking about. A lot of women believe if I put a hard wig on, I'm going to be able to obtain a soft life because that's the only thing they're able to see. They don't see that woman has a great personality. They don't see that woman knows how to communicate to a man. They don't see that woman knows how to comfort her God. They don't see any of that. And because you can't see it unless you're talking about it, like I am right here in this live stream, most women don't see those things. They just see the woman with a hard wig and they think, oh, because most of those women have on a hard wig. And so they equate it to the soft life with a hard wig on. But I know some women, their wigs are laid, and they still have a soft life. Are you to figure out what he wants and needs from you or from you? You are to figure out what he needs for himself. Like when you are asking what does he appreciate in a woman, that needs to indicate what he's looking from you. He will let you know what he wants from you. Men are very simple. When you ask that of them, and actually this will indicate that you actually care. Like I don't think if you've never asked a man that, men already know they're asking questions to you to get an answer from you so they can learn more about you so they can show that they care about you. If you don't ask him anything, he already realizes this woman isn't into me that much. And see, a man who's illogical about you, he does want to know that you care. And to show that you do want to ask those questions, hey, what do you appreciate in a woman? What do you appreciate in a woman when you're upset? What do you appreciate in a woman when you're happy? What do you appreciate from a woman when you're going and when you're having a hard time? What do you appreciate in women that will make you happy? So you want to know what he's looking from you. And usually, since men are very simple, it's usually something very simple. It's something very simple. Men don't ask a lot. Usually, the men who are asking a lot and they want role reversal, those aren't your guy. That's not your guy. That's not your person. All right. So, do we have any other questions? I love those questions. Yes, ask those questions. This is how you're going to kind of, hone in on what he's looking for from you. And it also helps you to kind of decide, well, maybe this guy isn't with me for the right reasons. If he's like, oh, I want my woman to go out here and work as hard as I do. I want my woman to, work 24/7. If he's giving you all these things that he wants from a woman, he may not be in a healthy place to give you what you're looking for. And so it's a good way to kind of figure out where's this man's head at. You want to hear along the lines that he wants like your feminine gifts and your feminine presence. You don't want to hear that I want you to work just like me. You don't want to hear I want you to compete and be as hard as me. You don't want that type of information from a man. When is a good time to ask these questions? You can ask these questions in the very beginning. You can ask these questions in the very beginning. Just take my advice when I say only ask one question a date. Do not try to turn your dates into interviews. When you do that, you kill the polarity. You get him in his head, and he's thinking of how to answer your questions. And so, even when you do that, you kind of want to get it focused in on maybe his senses. And after he answers that question for you, instead of continuing to focus in on that question, go in to start focusing in on the food, getting back into his senses, back into his body, back into feeling. So you don't want to kill your polarity, but with so many questions either. I was chatting with a guy. I was telling him, talk later, taking a nap. He got upset. I was like, Nix, my naps are important to me. I was taking a nap, and he got upset. Oh, I'm not sure why he would get upset because you're taking a nap. And to me, that would be like a yellow flag. Like, I'm not trying to be with a guy that wants to take up all my time. He needs to understand, and operate from his masculine so I can be in my feminine. That shouldn't have been an issue. But you have to care. Don't fumble this. Don't fumble this because you only got 4 of them in your lifetime. Men who feel deeply for you, men who care a lot for you and want to make sure that they add value and they want to take care of you and anything that comes with you. Men who will have your back through any and everything. That's illogical. Like, you want him to be illogical. You want him to be present. You want him to be willing to take that burden of life for you. You want him to have your back. So you want a man to be illogical. He had a lot of red flags, kept bringing up sex from the first day. See, if a man starts bringing up sex from the first day, I would go ahead and move on to another person. Like, I always say, yeah, don't get triggered by some of the dumb mess that men are going to say. But when a man is kind of moving fast and only talking sexually, he's not interested in anything but a hookup. He is not your guy. Like, block him. Don't even have conversation. If a man starts on the very first date, he's talking about sex and he's talking through text about sex, let that man go. He's not even on the level that you desire him to be on. He was trying so hard to love bomb me and mirror my likes. I'm glad you figured it out very quickly that he wasn't top tier. He wasn't the type of guy he needed to be. But you don't want to fumble this type of guy. I've seen so many women fumble this type of guy, and unfortunately, since they didn't learn from it, they keep fumbling this type of guy over and over and over. There are women who attract these type of men all the time, but they cannot and do not give these type of men any type of care. And it's usually because they're whiny broads. They get really triggered, and they have control issues, and they have self-confidence and self-esteem issues, and they require a lot of validation. And when you become that, you become like other women. Majority of women are whiny broads. And I know you're like, bro, don't say that. I'm gonna call it for what it is. And because I was one also. When I got married, I became a whiny broad. I became a woman who concerned herself about trying to control or make things happen or trying to fit into this idealistic life or what I thought a wife should be. And when I did that, all I did was end up harming my marriage and losing influence. That's all I did. Instead of him going from that God that wanted me around him all the time, that God that was putting rules on himself to make sure that I was protected and secure, he went to the God that was trying to stay away from me. He was the guy that was trying to be at work longer. He was the guy that was trying to hang out with his friends more. Usually he would have chosen me over his friends. You can tell when you're a whiny broad is when your man is running away from you instead of towards you. How to know difference between influencing him just marrying you to get some booty. A man doesn't willingly give influence. A man doesn't willingly give influence. You're never going to get that when you first meet a man. You may get his admiration. He may admire you. He may be attracted to you, but he will not willingly give influence to you. A man has to totally trust you and he has to deeply care for you. So I would never look at it as though he's giving me influence because it's never going to happen. You don't know well enough and he doesn't know you well enough. So it's always the booty. You're always just a cookie to him. Because a man is not giving that up easily. You know who has influence to that man right now? His mama, his cousins, the people he's known for a very long time. Those people have influence with him. You do not. So there's no discernment when it comes to that because you don't have it anyway. Right now, you're just a booty. You're just a cookie. But the people who have influence over him is his mother. Is the people that he considers important. He calls them first to ask for advice, or he calls them first to get to talk. I don't even want to put a timeline on influence because there is no timeline. It's when he feels safe and trusting of you and feels deeply for you that he gives you influence. Then you don't have to fight over it. You don't have to argue over it. You can't manipulate your way into influence either. That's the thing about influence. If every woman understood what influence was, every woman would want it. But the thing is, you can't influence. You can't manipulate influence. It's not something that you can take from him. It's something he has to give to you. He has to want your blessing so much that he is wanting to make sure that everything is living up to the things that you want. And that's influence. Instead of you sitting here telling him, I want you to lose weight, he sees that you are losing weight and you're getting in shape and you're eating better. And that influences him. And then immediately he starts changing the way he eats. He starts going to the gym and working out. He starts caring about what he eats. That's influence. It's willingly and easily given, but he has to give it to you. Women want control over men because this is the closest you're going to get to control is influence. The thing is, it's something that's out of your control to get. I would say it takes time, but if he's feeling deeply about you and he feels like you're trustworthy, because that's what that is. When the man is saying, and he's super illogical about you, he feels deeply about you. He actually trusts you more than anybody else that he knows. And a woman that he's illogical over, her opinions and what she wants from him is going to be more important than everybody else. That's the reason you've seen your cousins drop friendships, your siblings or your brothers let go of connections that the woman doesn't like. All right, so if we don't have any other questions or comment, I'm gonna get ready to close out live stream. But care is important. Don't get to the illogical man and make him feel strongly about you and then drop the bag because you become whiny or because you become super disrespectful in the way that you disagree, or you don't give any type of comfort and haven't even chosen to figure out how to comfort him. You don't give him any type of admiration because men are always looking for us for that energetic blessing. They're always looking for us to give that approval. But if you're not giving any of that, you're not really caring properly for your illogical man. And then if you don't care properly for your illogical man, he will stop being illogical. He's going to start being more thinking when it comes around you. Instead of you thinking, he usually just gives you stuff and not think about it. Now he's starting to think about the cost. He's starting to think about, the effect. He's starting to think about how he's going to, what may be issues surrounding it. Like men who are illogical, a lot of times they don't even really they don't even really think deeply about doing things for us. They just do it because it will make us feel good. But you can make sure you can kick a man out of being illogical about you just by not giving him any care. Now, if you're looking for chump change, then I guess that won't matter. But if you're looking for long term and you want that commitment and you want that divine union, then it does matter. All right, so I don't see any other questions coming up in the chat. Thank you, Pedestal Wives Inner Circle members, for being a part of this community. Thank you for your support. You all make sure you like the stream. You all are definitely pushing these videos up in the algorithm. I'm starting to see old videos getting comments that I even forgot that were there. So I appreciate your support. Thank you for doing that. So I don't see anything else. I'm trying to give it a little bit of time because I know that there's a lag between me and you. Make sure you take time, like the stream, comment on the videos. That helps it also be seen by other women because we want to make sure that we get this message out here so women stop fumbling these type of men. Because I guarantee you, every woman has at least encountered at least once this type of man who's goo who's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over you. But you fumbled it because maybe you were a whiny broad, or maybe you were a bobblehead. And some of that magic that is you just kind of left the relationship and you didn't even know what happened. You're like, why did he lose interest? Because you became like every other woman. Is seduction a type of influence? No. Seduction is just feminine energy. Seduction is feminine energy. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close out. I thank you all for being here, and I'll see you all on the next one. You have a good day.